With the internet today, there are many providers of church and sanctuary seating, but not all companies and not all chairs are created equally. So how can your church select the very best chair for your purpose? The answer is really very easy. First, gather information about the company and chair provider, and secondly, get a sample of the chair and evaluate it. When evaluating the company, ask 3 questions. First, is the company responsible for the design and manufacturing of the chair, or are they a reseller of someone else's chair? If they're a reseller, there is very little to no possibility that they're going to control the quality of the raw materials that go into that chair or other aspects of the manufacturing and delivery of that chair that impact its quality. Secondly, how long has the company been in business? Do they have endorsements? Are there recommendations? Is there any history of financial problems? Is there a bankruptcy? Have they failed to deliver product to churches that have paid for it? The third question is, will the chair provider send a free sample chair? And will they certify that the sample they send will later match the product they will provide? There are many reasons why the product would not match the sample, and they're not in the best interest of your church. Line the samples up. Visually compare finish details like seams and corners for finish quality. Compare chair comfort over a period of time, similar to how they will be used. Don't make the mistake of choosing an overly soft chair that won't provide support for an hour or more. Now examine the sample very closely, beginning with the frame of the chair. Ensure that it's a 16 gauge, heavy grade 1010 rolled steel foundation. You'll actually want to take the time to knock off one of the plugs and measure the gauge of the steel. What we found is that a lot of manufacturers today are representing a 16 gauge steel when in actuality they're providing an 18 gauge steel, which is weaker. The higher the gauge with these measurements, the weaker the steel. Don't buy an 18 gauge foundation. It's not nearly as strong as a 16 gauge foundation. Ensure that you have solid 1-inch weld lines, because that's going to strengthen the frame up and stiffen it up. Ensure that the paint is a very high quality electrostatic paint, which is bonded to the paint and will last a lifetime. Here's another hint. Pop off a plug and look inside and see if there's rust. 9 of the 14 samples that we have acquired from our competitors had rust inside the barrel. That speaks to the lack of preparation and the lack of care, because that rust will become a problem on your chair, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. Also look closely at the design of the frame. One of the popular and less expensive manufacturing techniques used by many of our competitors today is to use just a band of steel to support the foundation of the chair. That band of steel is not only flexible, but as it flexes, it will eventually wear on the little spot weld, and that will break. Unlike the Church Plaza chair, which surrounds our base all the way around with heavy gauge steel, full 1-inch weld lines, and a 5/8 inch crossbar. This frame will support twice as much as this frame. And while that may not seem like a lot, over years of use, this frame is going to last a lot longer. Look closely to ensure that the foundation is quality industrial grade plywood, not some substitute. This happens to be a 1/2 inch true quality grade piece of plywood from a Church Plaza chair. This is a piece of imitation plywood, strand board, they have different names, but basically instead of the quality wood, you have pieces of wood that are glued together and pressed together. Costs much less to manufacture, not nearly the holding strength of the quality plywood. Also look for the fastening systems. Many chair manufacturers will still use a simple wooden screw that goes in that has only 20% of the holding power of the steel-to-steel T-nut that we put into the Church Plaza chairs. These T-nuts are actually embedded deep into the wood with large claws holding, and a steel-to-steel combination makes it the strongest available fastening system on the market. There are only 2 of us who offer polymer foundation chairs in the marketplace, and there are some distinct differences between our foundations. For example, the fastening system on the Church Plaza is once again a steel-to-steel embedded T-nut. Our competitor uses a screw that was designed to fasten dashboards to automobiles. And what theirs does is actually go through thin plastic with basically a wood screw. It doesn't hold as strongly, it doesn't last as long, and if you want to back the screw out, and remove the foundation to recover it, this is your better choice. Next, you'll want to look closely at the foam and fabric of the chair. These can be very expensive raw materials for a chair provider, and you need to be careful that you're actually getting the highest quality available. This is a real opportunity for the chair provider to cut costs, which are not in the benefit of your church. You should, for example, on the fabric, be looking for some type of a great selection. That happens to be the Church Plaza selection card, and there are other fabrics available. But you'll also want to make sure that the specifications are noted and that the chair provider will give you certifications for those chair specifications. What we're seeing today is that a lot of chair providers are making claims that simply can't be backed up. You want to be sure to have a fabric with a strong backing on it. That backing not only will help support the wearability of the fabric, but it's going to make the seams much stronger and much more unlikely to separate in years ahead. You'll want to look closely also at the foam. Terms that you'll want to become familiar with are virgin foam, which means that it's not a remanufactured foam, and high density foam. Some manufacturers will provide a virgin foam, but it's actually a very porous, not a high density foam, and the wearability of it and the toughness of it is really in question. You'll also want to see if there's a dual layer. Church Plaza, in fact, introduced the dual layer foam concept to the industry some years ago, where a firmer under foam provides the body, but yet there's a softer top foam. Now, there are a lot of games being played regarding this dual concept foam. This is one well-known manufacturer who has put batting on top of significantly less foam than what is in the Church Plaza chairs. We all know what batting does. It tends to bunch up, and it's certainly not foam. You can see it pulls away, and it's not going to be in the best interest of your church. Another manufacturer will actually advertise that they have virgin foam. They don't say all virgin foam. These are the games churches have to watch for. This is another well-known manufacturer who provides a high-quality, high-density foam for the top, advertises a dual layer, but the underlayer is in fact a very cheap remanufactured foam that is going to break down far before this one does. I guess they figure that the church will be out of business by the time this breaks down. You have choices when it comes to foam and fabric, and they're in your best interest to make sure that you're getting the best quality of both. You want to examine the warranty closely. You want to examine who offers it and specifically what is covered in that warranty. For example, many chair manufacturers today resell into the American market through American resellers. They don't actually stand behind the warranty. So in this day of internet businesses, you'll want to find out exactly what type of company is standing behind that warranty. Also, you want to know what's covered. For example, some warranties will only cover the weld lines on the frame, while ignoring the overall serviceability and wearability of the chair itself. Others won't cover the fabric specifically. Others will have nuances. What you'll want to do, for example, we've worked closely with the Church Plaza to give a 25-year workmanship, a 25-year on the foundation, a foam warranty, the kind of things that a church really should be looking for when they're looking for a stewardship purchase. Now compare the prices of the chair, keeping in mind that the best quality is about stewardship. Quality, value, and trust are going to be what you're looking for, not just the lowest price. The right chair will last a lifetime for your church. The wrong chair will end up costing you a lot of money. Call the 800 number on the bottom of the screen and talk to one of Church Plaza's sales representatives and find out how you can receive your free sample chair. Blessings and Semper Fi.